Hello and welcome. You're watching a special edition of The Burning Question live from outside the Parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight the reason why we're bringing you this special edition is also a time to pay tribute to what many would say 75 years of the Indian Constitution, and justifiably so why Indians should be extremely proud of. Ladies and gentlemen, over 200 constitutions since the time it has adopted hasn't even lasted more than 17 years. There is a reason why the second oldest constitution of India is something that we should be proud of, and a tribute to our founding fathers who've been able to produce the kind of constitution that they have, and which has protected the foundation of this very nation. But despite that, what we have essentially seen, politics essentially being played over this entire issue. And today in the Parliament, as the debate continues, we have seen once again revisiting what many would say wounds inflicted upon the Constitution. How exactly are we to see the years to come as far as the Constitution goes, and whether at all things are really changing in our country, or is it time for bringing in amendments to a Constitution, given the fact that it's a reflection of our own society? Joining us today is Mr. P.K. Basu on my right, Sarvesh Pathak, Harsh Dahiya, Binay Singh. From the Samajwadi Party, we have Professor Joshi. From the Aam Aadmi Party, we have Advocate Mol Pawar. From the leading towards the Congress is Nikhil Jain, and Mr. Sethi is also joining us, political analyst. Let me first take you through the initial comments. You have seen what happened in the Parliament today with Rahul Gandhi. P.K. Basu, if I can come to you first. Rahul Gandhi speaking about what he believes is a reflection of today's times, what he believes that institutions have been taken over by the government, and that is the reason why perhaps the Constitution is in danger.
Well, first of all, I think we need to go back to the very first amendment to the Constitution. This was enacted before the first Lok Sabha election, and in America, the Bill of Rights was the first amendment to the US Constitution. It created the fundamental rights that the Americans have. In our case, the First Amendment took away almost all fundamental rights. It abridged the right to equality, the right to the freedom of speech. So really, the first wound to the Constitution occurred right then in June, July 1951, well before the first election had even happened. So it was passed to the Constituent Assembly in a 16-day session very rapidly. And I think if you want to look at wounds, the other major wound to the Constitution was, of course, during the emergency. The 38th Amendment, it instituted something called Misa. You know, one of the daughters of Lalu Yadav is called Misa to commemorate that event. And it also, of course, the 42nd Amendment was perhaps the greatest wound of all to the Constitution. Much of the 42nd Amendment has been repealed, but not all of it. The preamble itself was altered in the 42nd Amendment, which is remarkable. I don't think there are too many other countries where the preamble to the Constitution has been changed. And that change remains in place. Many people think that secular, socialist are parts of the original Constitution, when they very much are not.
Right.
In fact, Ambedkar believed in many of the principles of the Constitution, and he made it very clear that we cannot have words like socialist in the Constitution. So there are these fundamental wounds. Some of them have been removed, repealed over time. But if you want to look at institutions, then I would say that, you know, the institutions were horribly destroyed even during the UPA years.
Right.
You remember the CVC, remember the appointment of a chief election commissioner in the middle of the 2009 election, when the outgoing chief election commissioner had said that the incoming one, Naveen Chawla, is very clearly a partisan figure, very pro-Congress. And in fact, the Shah Commission in 1978 had said that Naveen Chawla is not qualified to ever hold another office within the government of India. So, you know, so you talk about institutions. Those were serious wounds to the institution that occurred during Congress and UPA rule.
Will perhaps actually break this down for our viewers too, as to what are the basic issues that have been raised from both sides. opening from this side, Professor Joshi, the Samajwadi Party, in fact, प्रधानमंत्री यही कहते हैं कि इमरजेंसी के वक्त आपके मुखिया भी जब जेल के अंदर थे, तो आप कैसे आज उसी पार्टी के साथ खड़े हो सकते हैं जिसके कारण हम इमरजेंसी हमने देखा और कई सारे ऐसे, एज द प्राइम मिनिस्टर कॉल्स इट, डार्क चैप्टर्स ऑफ आवर हिस्ट्री।
देखिए, पहले में जहां पर हमारे भारतीय जनता पार्टी के समर्थित मित्र के द्वारा जो बात कही है, समाजवाद और धर्मनिरपेक्ष शब्द, दो शब्दों पर इन्होंने करने का काम करा। मैं कहना चाहता हूं, ये जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी के लोग हैं, उनको इससे जो नफरत है, ये दो शब्दों से वो जग जाहिर है। अभी माननीय सुप्रीम कोर्ट, एक मिनट सर, माननीय सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने सुब्रमण्यम स्वामी जी की जो याचिका थी, ये दो शब्दों को हटाने के लिए थी और उसका विरोध करने का काम सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने करा। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा, ये शब्द अगर हटाकर आप क्या सिद्ध करना चाहते हैं, यानी कि इस देश के अगर संविधान में धर्मनिरपेक्षता हट जाएगी और समाजवाद हट जाएगा तो क्या देश किस ओर जाएगा, ये चिंता करने का काम सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने करा था। अब आपके विषय पे आता हूं मैं। देश काल समय परिस्थिति के अनुसार पॉलिटिक्स बदल जाती है और जो आपने विषय करा, वो विषय भी कोई आपने गलत नहीं कहा, वो विषय भी रहा है। उससे इतिहास से हम लोग भाग नहीं सकते हैं। आप एक अच्छे बड़े पत्रकार हैं, देश में आपका नाम है, आपने जो कहा वो बात भी सत्य है। लेकिन आज मौजूदा परिस्थिति में, आज की जो सिचुएशन है, उसमें क्या इशू ज्यादा हैं। जब हम निकले थे संविधान बचाने के लिए, निकले थे हम लोकतंत्र बचाने के लिए, आपने देखा क्या देश भूल पाएगा चंडीगढ़ के साथ क्या हुआ, ऑन कैमरा किस प्रकार लूट हुई लोकतंत्र की, डेमोक्रेसी की हत्या करी भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने। आज विषय संविधान को बचाने का है, लोकतंत्र को बचाने का है, सामाजिक न्याय की लड़ाई को है, जाति जनगणना की लड़ाई है, सोशल जस्टिस की लड़ाई है। इसको लड़ने के लिए हम लोग कांग्रेस के साथ है, इंडिया गठबंधन के साथ है।
Binay, caste census being the other key issue that was basically raised, the fact that Rahul Gandhi says political equality, referring to what Babasaheb Ambedkar had to say. Today you've seen how things have traversed in the last few months, particularly ahead of the elections, but once again putting the BJP on the mat by saying that, look here, you are not willing to look at those communities who have suffered because of what they say of the schemes that were basically being brought in by the government.
Thank you, Shravan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Shravan. As we have just discussed that Congress basically changed the fundamentals of the Constitution via amendments. So let me say that the independence was got after a lot of sacrifice and lot of pain. But what Congress did in its 50 years of rule after the independence, that it actually did as and acted as East India Company or British imperialism part 2. Because when Congress was in power, they were trying to demolish the institutions. And when they are not, today what they are doing, it's very interesting. They are trying to demean and demonize the institutions. And when Rahul Gandhi talks about caste, again I go back to the British days, that Britishers use this caste as a tool to divide and rule. So just a second. So Rahul Gandhi intention seems to be very clear that when he talks about caste, that is not about caste welfare, but he wants to put this caste into caste conflict, and this is the agenda of the third forces. The Naxal literature, if you go through that, it is mentioned over there, and Rahul Gandhi is, on the towing the lines of the anti-India forces when he's talking about caste. That is not about caste welfare.
But Binay, the thing is that the BJP is also not against the caste census. Today you've had Raksha Mantri making that comment that we are not against it. We are not against dividing anyone. That is what BJP's position has been.
Shravan, when there is a difference, the basic difference is that when BJP talks about caste, it is about cementing the fault lines. And when Congress talks about caste, it is about furthering the fault lines. That's a simple difference.
Mr. Pawar, let me also get others into. Mr. Pawar, with regards to the Aam Aadmi Party, particularly over the constitution, now with Delhi elections around the corner, will this still be an issue? The reason why I'm asking, this has not found a resonance among the voters, particularly in Haryana. in Maharashtra, that संविधान को बदलने की कोशिश, the entire narrative that the India Alliance wanted to project. But do you feel that perhaps this is more theatrics inside the parliament, not really affecting on the ground?
Mr. Sen, I disagree with this. The fact is that the whole country saw that how the parliamentarians of Bharatiya Janata Party, they openly said that we want to abolish reservations. And the fact is...
So did Rahul Gandhi.
The fact is that we must understand that Constitution, it is the heart and soul of our nation. It is a promise to the people that their voices will be heard and their rights protected. It lays a foundation of a system where governance is of the people, for the people and by the people. And it is only Aam Aadmi Party and Arvind Kejriwal ji who is working to fulfill the dreams of Baba Saheb Ambedkar by ensuring basic amenities to the people like education, healthcare, water, electricity, which is enshrined in Article 21 of the Constitution, which says right to life and dignity. So we all, all the political parties must come together and work for the welfare of the people rather than, propagating their own agenda.
But would you agree? Because for the longest time, Arvind Kejriwal has never spoken about dividing amongst the caste lines, not really speaking about caste issues per se, because he's largely spoken about what he feels that basic necessities of people, of urban problems that people have. So it once again goes beyond what Rahul Gandhi has been talking about. So there is one would say there is no consonance between what Arvind Kejriwal is saying and what Rahul Gandhi is saying, because Arvind Kejriwal probably has understood that this does not find any sort of resonance with the public. Public are more concerned about whether at all Bijli, Pani, Sadak is more important to us than probably caste census.
Mr. Sen, it is a fact that more than 80 crore people are being given free ration by the central government. In more than 20 states they have government, but they have failed to provide the basic amenities of life, and every clause of the Constitution has been deliberated upon with the intent to uplift the citizens regardless of caste, religion and anything else. तो संविधान का मकसद था कि हर इंसान को सशक्त किया जाए. जब इंसान को सशक्त किया जाएगा तो देश अपने आप मजबूत हो जाएगा. लेकिन उस इंटेंट के साथ केवल अरविंद केजरीवाल जी काम करते हैं.
Harsh, if I can get your initial comments. What we have seen here over the last few days during the Constitution debate, one, it's a little disheartening to see political parties bringing it, narrowing it down to just their particular issues, not, perhaps remembering the fact that this Constitution has weathered a lot. And something that we should be extremely proud of, irrespective of whether it's the BJP or the Congress. Let's not forget, this is after all the longest surviving constitution. There are constitutions which have been changed, perhaps in some countries overnight. So at the end of the day, perhaps it is also a day today to remember the kind of sacrifices that have been made to ensure that this constitution survives.
Shravan, let's get one thing clear first, that this constitution is as much mine as it is theirs. It is my duty as well to uplift the values of the constitution as much as it is theirs as well. Now coming back to the main issue about changing the constitution. See, constitution is a living document. It is not a primitive book which doesn't change with time. Constitution has to change with time. Constitution has to live up to the values of the society as it gradually changes with time. There have been so far 106 amendments, out of which 80 amendments were done during the period of Congress rule. Now, if we have to say that the Constitution is in danger and the amendment should not happen, then we should go to the original form of the Constitution. Okay. Then we should go back on the 42nd Amendment as well, which added words like secular and socialist in the preamble of the Constitution. I don't understand how can
Professor
the preamble...
Joshi says you are allergic to it.
The preamble... No, we are not allergic. We are a very secular...
To the word secular.
See, BJP and a Prime Minister is a very secular person. We are not just taking care of the minorities in India, but we are also looking for the minorities. We are looking after the minorities in Bangladesh and Pakistan. Let's not forget, we are the only functioning democracy in the Indian subcontinent.
Okay.
And we are living up to
Joshi
the
wants to counter this.
let me finish first. We are living up to the values of the constitution. We are living up to the values of the democracy in this particular country. This is the only functioning democracy, and it is of utmost importance that we take care of the minorities in Afghanistan, the persecuted minorities in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in Bangladesh.
Okay.
And when the BJP government, when the Modi government brings CAA, when it tables, these are the same people who protest against CAA
Okay.
because they do not stand with the constitutional values of the country. They do not stand with persecuted minorities in Afghanistan. They do not stand with persecuted minorities in Pakistan and Bangladesh.
Okay, let me just get a quick comment, Professor Joshi, क्योंकि एक बार सबको मौका दे देना चाहिए. एक ओपनिंग रिमार्क, चलिए आप जल्दी बता दें, उसके बाद निखिल को भी.
मुझे लगता है आज का सबसे बड़ा चुटकुला हमारे साथी भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने सुनाया है. उन्होंने कहा है कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी बहुत धर्मनिरपेक्ष हैं. मुझे नहीं लगता इस देश में कोई ऐसा लीडर है जो धर्मनिरपेक्ष और ये कहता है कि मुसलमान आपका मंगलसूत्र छीन लेंगे. ये देश देख रहा है. आप 140 करोड़ लोग चिंतन कर रहे हैं आपकी बात से. ये कैसी धर्मनिरपेक्षता आप देश को सिखाना चाहते हैं?
आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने मुसलमान वर्ड यूज नहीं किया. ये ओपोजिशन के रिमार्क्स हैं. ये ओपोजिशन का माइंडसेट दिखाता है. आप ये देखिए, जब किसी और धर्म की बात आती है तो ये जात पात की बात नहीं करते. द मोमेंट इट कम्स डाउन टू हिंदूज, दैट्स व्हेन दे वांट क्या कहते हैं, डिवीजन ऑन कास्ट लाइंस.
Okay, let's take the discussion forward. It's a very interesting point. While we have weathered the kind of challenges our constitution has actually faced, the reality is also this. A changing society requires perhaps a changed constitution also. While this has largely been seen that, okay, democratic rights would be taken away of the minorities, there is a fear-mongering that's actually taking place, preventing what would have seen a real change, a need of the hour to bring in the amendments to the constitution, Nikhil. Just because of petty politics, are we to take away what should have been inevitable? A change in the constitution. There are certain issues. We'll get into the specifics of what requires a change too. But first, why should the opposition get so very nervous about what has been a natural change to the constitution?
So, Shravan, it's not actually the opposition that has been harping about the fact that the constitution has been changed. You hear the rhetoric by the Prime Minister himself or the BJP, and they've been harping about the fact that out of 106 amendments made to the constitution so far, 80 have been done by the Congress. I completely agree with my friend Harsh when he says that constitution is a living document. It's not a primitive book that has to stay as it was written. And that is the precise reason why the framers of the Indian constitution inserted the Article 368, which allowed the parliament to amend the constitution vis-a-vis there are different rules for the different kinds of amendments. And in 1973, the Supreme Court, in the Keshav Nand Bharti case, very clearly iterated that you can make amendments to the Constitution. That's perfectly all right. That's needed. But you can't change the basic structure of the Constitution. The allegation from the Congress end is that the BJP is looking to change the basic structure of the Constitution. As Professor Joshi pointed out, that the
elaborate when you say basic structure of the Constitution.
Basic structure of the Constitution essentially has to do with the idea of India, that we are a democratic republic, that we are a secular country.
Where did the BJP say that they want to change that?
Number of people from the BJP have been asking for a Hindu Rashtra. That's going against secularism. The Prime Minister called social welfare schemes reveries. That's a different hypocritical measure that he himself goes and announces those schemes. But that is going against socialism. So far as the insertion of the word secular and socialist in the 42nd Amendment was concerned, Professor Joshi rightly pointed out that the Supreme Court has already upheld that. And the basis for upholding that was that whether the word secular or social featured in the original draft of the Constitution or not, in the preamble of it or not, the ethos of the Indian Constitution have been very secular and socialist. The BJP has been trying to paint the word secular and socialist as something bad, but what is it? Not, having your state policy be determined by religion, looking after your citizens. And one important point I want to point out, that it was said that the First Amendment was the first attack on the Constitution. The First Amendment, what was it? That freedom of expression and other freedoms that was guaranteed under Article 19 are subject to reasonable exceptions, right? Why did we need to introduce that? Because so that every Tom, Dick and Harry cannot come and say, I want a separate state, I want to secede from India. We did that to stop secession. We did that to stop sedition.
PK Basu wants, because that's the point that PK Basu had referred to.
This is, he is reinventing history. The First Amendment was passed before there was a parliament, before there was a Lok Sabha.
The ordinance that was basically brought in.
The Constituent Assembly was not elected by the people. So Why was Nehru in such a hurry to pass the First Amendment? Because he wanted to change the basic structure of the Constitution, which is what he did.
A letter that was
he
also
abridged the freedom of expression. Okay, there's a lot of talk about freedom of expression, freedom of speech in this country. The First Amendment abridged that right. Okay, now, not just that. Now, there's talk about socialism being part of the basic structure. Let me just say very clearly that it was not included in the preamble for a very good reason. If you read Jayaprakash Narayan's life, for instance, he believed that all land, all property must be state-owned. That is socialism, according to one of the great leaders of this country. Now, if that was the case, we have completely failed. The Socialist Party, Samajwadi, जो Socialist Party है, आप तो ये नहीं कर रहे हैं. जब when you were ruling Uttar Pradesh, आपने किया? Did you make it socialist in this sense? So to have a word like socialist in the preamble is a complete travesty, because we are nowhere near any form of socialism, and the principles by which our nation is run are not socialist in that sense of having state ownership of all means of production.
Here
It's
comes
ridiculous.
the changing times.
And in fact, even in Maoist China, you didn't have socialism in this sense. So why introduce a useless word into the Constitution when you're not going to live up to it?
Okay,
we are
Mr.
not
Sethi,
living up to it, and
so
we
many
cannot.
socialist countries
We
have
need
failed.
to have,
Okay.
the whole
Nikhil,
socialist
allow someone
era
else, because
has been a
Nikhil,
disaster. Communism
Mr.
has
Sethi
failed,
and Sarvesh Pathak haven't
and we are
responded.
still stuck with this word,
Okay.
which does not have any meaning.
Okay, let me just get a quick comment from Mr. Sethi. Mr. Sethi, you've heard the fact that changes were actually brought in, and Mr. Basu is saying that, look here, the structure, the very ethos that Nikhil is talking about was never existed. The very fact that there are changes that are to be brought in, rightfully so. And these are changes that were brought in by unelectables, as many would say, and the fact that there was no government in place. So why is the Congress party, or for that matter, the alliance, really having a problem with the fact that these are changes that were brought in long back?
देखिए, आप जिस प्रकार से अभी आपने कहा कि कांग्रेस ने 109 चेंजेस करे, तो आप उसका हवाला दे रहे हैं कि बाबर ने क्या किया, अकबर ने क्या किया, जवाहरलाल नेहरू ने क्या किया, इंदिरा गांधी ने क्या किया. तो आप आज यहाँ बैठे हैं. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन जो है हमारे अधिकारों की रक्षा करता है. वो जो बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर है, जैसे सेकुलरिज्म की बात है, डेमोक्रेसी की बात है, आप कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का जितना अपमान भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने करा, मैं नहीं समझता कि पूरे इतिहास में किसी ने करा हो. अगर आप किसी को
आप अगर उदाहरण देना चाहते हो, क्या उदाहरण दें?
मैं ये कहता हूं कि जो आप गरीब आदमी, जो सबसे निचले तबके का आदमी है, उसका तो आपने उसकी रक्षा नहीं करी. जो लोग जिन्होंने देश के अंदर नहीं पूरे संसार के अंदर हमारे देश का नाम ऊंचा करा, जो खिलाड़ी थे, उनको अपनी एफआईआर दर्ज करने के लिए सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाना पड़ता है.
अच्छा।
जो किसान है, जो किसान को भगवान का दर्जा दिया गया था, उसको खालिस्तानी, आतंकवादी और इस तरह के लोगों, उनके अधिकारों की रक्षा, उनके साथ वादा करके 3 कानून वापस लेने के बाद उनका अपमान करा. आज फिर वो बॉर्डर पे बैठे हुए हैं. आज आप ये डेवलपमेंट की बात करिए, आप एजुकेशन की बात करिए, आप हेल्थ की बात करिए, आप इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन की बात करिए, आप इतिहास में क्यों चले जाते हैं?
ये वाला अनमोल, this is a point. Okay, I'll get the point also. Can I just I'll give we have enough time, we'll take it. But Anmol, this is exactly what I want to, because I'll take this to the other side also. Specifics when we are asking for instance, here they are saying, how is this related to the Constitution? They are saying that, look here today, Rahul Gandhi, I'm not talking about, because we've not heard from the Aam Aadmi Party on this, but Rahul Gandhi, your alliance partner, today delved into everything else, apart from the fact that the party was equally responsible for inflicting the kind of wound that this country will never forget. That is the reason why they're saying, is there an attempt to deflect from the issues?
Mr. Sen, all the panelists are very learned. I want to ask if anyone can tell me that which article of the Constitution says that governor should interfere in the functioning of elected government. Which article of the Constitution says that investigative agencies like ED and CBI must be weaponized to suppress the voice of the opposition parties? Which article of the Constitution says that ruling party must carry out mass voter deletion drive?
Mr. Pawar,
Which article, sir, just a minute.
Allow him to speak and then we'll
Which
take it
article of the Constitution says that vote theft must be carried out as we saw in Chandigarh mayor elections.
Sarvesh Pathak.
So this in fact proves that the ruling government BJP does not believe in the constitution and democracy. इनका विश्वास ही नहीं है संविधान में.
सर्वेश,
आप बताइए मुझे कोई एक ऐसा प्रोविजन आर्टिकल कौन सा ये कहता है कि आपको जो है लोकतंत्र और संविधान.
The Aam Aadmi Party has been referring to what happened in Chandigarh. You've already had Samajwadi Party also saying that, look, don't forget what we saw happening in Chandigarh. The fact that Supreme Court came down heavily on this entire matter. While you may say that why are we getting into specific incidents, but it's also a reality that at the end of this is also a constitutional right of a political party.
No doubt, no doubt.
That has been snatched away. So the opposition perhaps is in a legitimate manner raising concerns about the fact that are you then trying to weaponize?
The Samajwadi Party spokesperson said about the constitutional right of the government, I think lieutenant government, Aam Aadmi Party. I'm just telling you, in this Delhi itself, Sheila Dikshit ruled 15 years. And I think first time when Vajpayee BJP government was in center, that time she has complained about anything. That the LG is not giving me a space or not giving me not allowing me to work. Never. Then why you are complaining again and again and again? You are not doing the enough things. You have promised so many things in Delhi. Okay, Chandigarh issue is okay. It's a blot on the. You can say that the constitution and whatever the things, but. Even a Congress, they have mentioned about the basic structure. BJP is trying to dismantle the basic structure of the constitution. Do you know the preamble is the Atma of the constitution? Who has did the chhedchhad, you can say that with preamble? Even during Nehru's times, if you are talking about the freedom of speech, Shravan, Kishore Kumar को क्यों जेल हुई? मजरू सुल्तानपुरी के एक पोयम के कारण उन्हें जेल जाना पड़ा. कितने सारे बुक्स हैज बीन बैंड बाय द कांग्रेस पार्टी. दिस इज नॉट द फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच. सेकंड थिंग, ड्यूरिंग इमरजेंसी इंडियन एक्सप्रेस run their paper from on the road.
Okay.
This is not
Professor
the
Joshi,
curtailed
Professor
on the
Joshi.
freedom of speech.
One more thing.
Okay.
I think it's important to understand also that the founder of the Bharatiya Janasangh was killed. He was the leader, he was the rising leader of what was then called the National Democratic Front. He was killed. His mother was Ashutosh Mukherjee's widow, former Vice Chancellor, a giant of a person. She asked for a probe into his death. There was no doubt that he had been murdered. Jawaharlal Nehru, who was the Prime Minister, sat as judge and jury and said, no, there's absolutely no need. I have looked into this matter and there is no need for any investigation. So you can murder. In those days, the Congress could get away with literal murder of the founder of the Bharatiya Janasangh. So this is so easily swept under the carpet. Okay, now, with regard to secularism, let's get to secularism.
One minute.
When you come to secularism, we say dharm nirapekshata. Agar nirapekshata ho, then we should have we should be fair in addressing all the religions of India, including the majority religion. Yet, the Karnataka government, as soon as it came in, introduced what I would call a jizya. It began to tax the mandirs of Karnataka. This government that is currently in power, soon after they came in, did they impose dharm nirapeksh tax? Was it a dharm nirapeksh tax? No. There was only a tax imposed on mandirs, Hindu mandirs. So this is the nature of dharm nirapekshata. It is not dharm nirapekshata. Secularism as applied by the Congress party is anti-Hindu. And this is the problem. Now, let's go one more. In 1971, you look at a book called The Blood Telegram written about Bangladesh. It says very clearly that 90% of the refugees who fled East Pakistan in 1971 were Hindus. The government of the day, Indira Gandhi and Swaran Singh, completely pushed that under the carpet And till today we don't know this. Most Indians don't realize that what happened in 1971 was Hindu atrocities against the Hindus by the Pakistan army. There were, of course, Awami League was also subjected to some atrocities, but the major sufferers were Hindus. And of the 10 to 16 million people who left East Pakistan and fled to India, 90% were Hindus. We still do not know this. And this is the nature of our secularism.
Okay.
Now, not just that, you look at Sri Lanka. In 1948, Sri Lanka passed a Citizenship Act that disenfranchised 12% of the population who were Tamil Hindus. And almost all of them were repatriated to India. They had lived in Sri Lanka for 5 generations. So this is the nature of dharm nirapekshata. It is not nirapeksh.
Professor Joshi wants to counter that.
Yes, yes.
Okay, Nikhil, I'll come to that.
देखिए, हमें लगता है कि जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी है वो संविधान के एक एक चीज को मारना चाहती है। मैं बहुत जिम्मेदारी से आपके चैनल के माध्यम से बताना चाहता हूं किस प्रकार वोटों को काटा जा रहा है। वोट ये आम आदमी पार्टी कह रही है, आज कह रही है। हम लोगों ने तो बकायदा हमारे नेता माननीय अखिलेश यादव जी ने 18,000 वोटों का शपथ पत्र लेके दिया कि सरकार के द्वारा बीएलओ और डीएम के माध्यम से 18,000 वोटों को काट के दिया है। उन वोटों को निकलवा के हमने उनका शपथ पत्र जमा करने का काम करा। जब वोट का अधिकार संविधान देता है, आज मैं माननीय अखिलेश यादव जी के साथ एक कार्यक्रम में था, वहां पर भी उन्होंने इस बात को कहने का काम करा जो मेरे साथी आम आदमी पार्टी ने कहा है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी इस संविधान की सबसे बड़ी दुश्मन है। जो अधिकार हमको वोट का देती है उसको तक छीनना चाहती है। तो ये सरकार पे बहुत मिलकर हमको लड़ने की जरूरत है।
Wonderful discussion is going on here about the amendment which inducted the two words secularism and socialism. So really these are very wonderful words. These are great words. So when you say secular, so what is the idea of secularism when it comes to in the Indian context? It is the doctrine of balance between different communities. But how it was practiced or applied by Congress party? Simple, political appeasement. And what is the idea of socialism when you say the word socialist? It is people's power in Indian context. But what is the idea applied? It is the idea of far left. And the far left idea is opposed to the constitution's values. That's very simple. And the simple, democracy, socialism and secularism, what all meant for the Gandhi family, that one family, only prime minister. This was their democratic values, those they have practiced for so many decades. Till today they are doing the same thing.
Also, Shravan, I would like to add one thing.
Yeah. Can we also quickly move to the fact that we were talking about the changes, the amendment. In the garb of this, that okay, things would be changed and perhaps certain communities would be affected, what we are forgetting is the need of the hour. The need of the hour is to bring in the changes as per our changing society. Doesn't our country deserve a constitution which is going to look into the needs of everyone and not to look at just in a very sectarian manner, in a divided manner, but looking at the development of all? So in the politics what we are missing out is the much needed change. Is the opposition absolutely against bringing in amendments that is the need of the hour? Nikhil.
Shravan, the opposition has nowhere said that they're against amendments in the constitution. The Congress party
What
has
amendments
made so
are you
many
against?
Any amendment that makes the constitution sectarian. See, the constitution that we have right now is a beautiful document that looks after everybody, whether you're Hindu, Muslim, rich, poor, powerful, not. The constitution cares about everybody.
You had a problem with 35A.
No, 35A was a special status that was given to the state of Jammu and Kashmir.
And that
which
was
a
enacted
sovereign state.
undemocratically.
I did not.
Undemocratically.
Harsh, I did not interject. 35A was only inserted because you had to have that independent sovereign state of Jammu and Kashmir accede to the Indian Union. And the conditions of that accession were the inclusion of Article 370 and Article 35A by Maharaja Hari Singh. Also, I wanted to respond to an earlier point that was earlier. It was sovereign.
No,
Mr. Joshi, I did not interject when he was speaking. You've already spread half truths before. Let me also correct him when he earlier said that the Constituent Assembly was not elected. It was elected by the members of the provincial assemblies, and the provincial assembly members were elected by the people of India. And
He's
so far
referring
as
to the time.
I'm talking about the Constituent Assembly.
No, that is
elected. Only 15% of the population has the right to vote.
Only 15%. He also made a point that the First Amendment was brought in because Nehru wanted to change the basic structure of the Constitution. Now, the interesting thing is that the Constituent Assembly, out of its 299 members, 208, that's more than two-thirds, were from the Congress party. If Nehru wanted to amend the basic structure, there's no cause for it. He would have had the basic structure differently in the manner that he wanted. Now he can speak all half lies about things, धर्मनिरपेक्ष नहीं है हम, और बांग्लादेश से इतने हिंदू आए, श्रीलंका से इतने हिंदू आए. He's forgetting वो बांग्लादेश में जब हिंदुओं पे उत्पीड़ना हो रही थी, persecution हो रहा था, it was Indira Gandhi who stepped in and saved them. He talks about the Hindus in Sri Lanka. He's not mentioning the fact that in the Citizenship Amendment Act, the BJP conveniently left out the Hindus of Sri Lanka and minorities of Myanmar.
Can I also get the constructive part of the debate here? Because, as I said, the changes that are required. From this side, I want to know, how has the country really been affected because of the politics that we are playing on the amendments issue? How are we still suffering? If you really compare the changes that have been brought in the subcontinent right now, and the very fact that we have seen how changes have taken place in all constitutions, perhaps around us itself, may not be for the good, may not be for the right reason, but the fact of the matter is that it is inevitable. It is going to happen. We have to adopt to it. What are the changes that is a must now?
Shravan, let me point out two essential things over here. First, Congress is trying to do fear-mongering in the country. They want to create a civil unrest in the country through these issues. They want to enact what happened in Bangladesh. They want to enact the same situation in India. You have seen these things happening with the previous protests as well. You will continue to see this happening until and unless Rahul, gets to the Prime Minister's post. That's his only goal. Second thing, if Congress is truly secular, if Congress is as secular as they claim to be, why are they opposed to Uniform Civil Code? Why did they overturn the Shah Bano judgment of the Supreme Court? If they are so secular, then why don't they support Uniform Civil Code for all communities, irrespective of religion, irrespective of caste? But they are not doing this just because they want to do appeasement politics for the certain sections of society.
Adbul Pawar, can I come to you? Nikhil, I've given you the chance.
There is no more secular principle than a uniform civil code.
I still want a clear answer from
Remember, it is in the directive principles. It was put into the directive principles by the creator of the Constitution, Bhim Rao Ambedkar. And therefore, it is a principle that...
Can I then ask you, Mr. Basu, can I take the question that I asked Harsh also?
One last thing I would like to add is that if Congress was truly secular, what was the need of adding the Places of Worship Act?
Okay.
What was
can I just get a quick comment, Mr. Basu? Because this is important, because what I wanted to know is, how is the country really affected because of not bringing in the amendments that the country really deserves at this point in time? If a quick check on that, perhaps the opposition needs to answer that. Are they needlessly fear-mongering on this issue, and how we are suffering as a country because of that?
Absolutely needless fear-mongering. And basically, the 2024 general election was, was run by the India Alliance, basically on the fear factor,
false narrative,
and the completely false narrative of the Constitution being in danger. If the Constitution is in danger, it is most in danger from the Congress party and its allies. So if you look at West Bengal, where I'm from, the West Bengal is constantly under, the Constitution is essentially suspended in West Bengal. The state government does as it pleases with the police. In various places, the right to vote is taken away. And you see it on a daily basis. Whenever there are by-elections, whenever there are state elections, and even in general elections. So, if you want to talk about Samvidhan being in danger, then it is most in danger in some of these states. West Bengal being prime example of a state where the Constitution is effectively in suspension. So, the point is that this was a red herring, and I have to hand it to the India Alliance. They won a lot of votes on that basis. And I think I would also say that the BJP made a terrible error by coming up with this silly slogan of "Is bar 400 par." There's no doubt.
Anmol Pawar.
That was a problem. Now the point is,
Sarvesh ji, I'll give you the chance. Let me just quickly get their point also. Anmol Pawar, as I was asking you this, what you're very cleverly, if you've avoided answering this question, it may have worked during the Lok Sabha elections. It isn't working during the state elections because somewhere down the line, perhaps people also do realize, and I've seen that upfront, particularly when I was covering the Maharashtra elections, that BJP made sure that this point is driven home, that nothing is changing. But your ally, when he made a comment about the reservation, particularly outside India, that backfired majorly. And all through a conspicuous silence on the part of Arvind Kejriwal, because he is extremely smart when he knows that all these issues will not work with the people. That is the reason why none of your campaigning that's happening right now, you don't talk about Samvidhan there. You are simply talking about, look here, this is what I'm going to give you. This is what I have done in the last 2 terms. So I'm going to continue giving you further. So nowhere down the line, if you really look at Arvind Kejriwal's campaigning, he talks about Samvidhan Khatre mein hai. He's very clear about that because he's somewhere down the line, he knows what's working or what doesn't work.
Mr. Sen, we have seen in the past, whether it's 2013 assembly election, whether it is 2015 assembly election or 2020 assembly election, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal always said to the people कि भाई अगर मैंने 5 साल काम किया हो तो मुझे वोट देना, अगर मैंने काम नहीं किया हो तो मुझे वोट मत देना.
But why are you carrying this baggage?
Because our politics revolves around काम की राजनीति. We do काम की राजनीति. We believe in working to empower the people. That is how we can empower the nation. हमारा
The question that's why I'm asking, you are saying that you play the politics of development. And clearly, at least as far as the campaigning goes, you are not talking about Samvidhan. You are not talking about the caste census, because you know at the end of that, these are things that may no longer work. Hence, I'm asking you this question. Why are you then carrying this baggage of the Congress party, which is only going to bring you down? It has happened with the Samajwadi Party. जितनी बार आपने देखा कि कांग्रेस के साथ आप अलाइन करते हैं, तो हालत बुरी हो जाती है. अकेला कर रहे हैं तो आप बीजेपी को टक्कर दे सकते हैं.
देखिए, जो अलायंस है इंडिया का, वो जिन मुद्दों को लेकर लड़ रहा था, उसमें हम लोग लड़ने का काम कर रहे हैं. उत्तर प्रदेश में, उत्तर प्रदेश के हम सबसे बड़े दल हैं.
आप अकेले बीजेपी को टक्कर दे रहे थे?
नहीं, मैं बहुत किन मुद्दों पर, जिस वहां से बात हमारी आपकी शुरू हुई थी, संविधान बचाने की, लोकतंत्र बचाने की, सामाजिक न्याय की, जाति जनगणना, इन मुद्दों पर समाजवादी पार्टी खड़ी हुई है. और निश्चित तौर पे उत्तर प्रदेश के परिप्रेक्ष्य में कहना चाहता हूं, समाजवादी पार्टी और माननीय अखिलेश यादव जी वहां बड़े भाई की भूमिका में है. जब लड़ाई सामने की आएगी, सड़क से लेकर सदन तक की लड़ाई आती है, तो माननीय अखिलेश यादव जी दिखाई देते हैं. अभी वहां का चुनाव देखा, बंदूक के नोक पे चुनाव हुआ. उत्तर प्रदेश ने देखा है किस तरह चुनाव हुआ, वहां पर किस प्रकार आपका वोट के अधिकार का हनन होते हुए उत्तर प्रदेश ने देखा है. तो ये सारे मुद्दे हैं. वो
क्या वहां पे भी बंदूक की नोक नहीं थी क्या?
अगर बंदूक की नोक पे नहीं होता तो रिजल्ट और होता, वोट का परसेंटेज कुछ और होता. ये भी देश देख पा रहा है, ये भी प्रदेश देख पा रहा है.
करहल में जब दलित
वो चित्र सोशल मीडिया पर वायरल है. वो चित्र मैंने और आपने नहीं कहते. वी आर नॉट कैमरामैन. हम लोग कैमरामैन नहीं है.
Picture that the viewers remember is a Dalit girl being murdered in Karhal because she was voting for BJP. Let's not forget that.
No one, neither Priyanka Gandhi nor Rahul Gandhi, और करहल तो अखिलेश यादव का गढ़ है.
Same goes for West Bengal.
Call it.
Shravan,
आप ये कहते तो
these political vultures, these political
बंगाल में भी आज कई ऐसे जगह हैं जहां पर जिस तरह से लोगों को धमकाया जा रहा है. कई सारे ऐसे इलाके हैं, पीके बासु आपको कह देंगे कि जो हिंदू इलाके, कुछ तो जगह मैं खुद पत्रकार होने के नाते मैं ये कह सकता हूं कि डायमंड हार्बर बीइंग वन सच प्लेस वेयर यू हैव द नेफ्यू of Mamata Banerjee. I have witnessed it myself. In the manner how a particular community was being prevented from even voting. I have got them on camera. So this is not some sort of, this is
सर का
not
जवाब मुझे देना है।
ये मैंने अपने आंखों से
मैं सर की बात कर रहा हूँ।
ये आंखों से देखा है और मैंने ये चीज को डॉक्यूमेंट किया।
बिल्कुल।
If I shouldn't call them political vultures, then what should I call them? That they are very selective about the places that they visit.
नहीं, मैं बता रहा हूँ।
They forget Karhal, they
बहुत अच्छा
forget
जवाब देना
Sandesh
सर का।
Kali, but they specifically pick up on small instances of violence, Hathras, and they keep on continuing that even when the government has taken very strict action. If I don't call them political vultures, what should I call them?
देखिए लोकतंत्र के चौथे स्तंभ पत्रकार ने कोई देखे तो मैं इनके ऊपर सवाल या निशान नहीं उठाऊंगा, लेकिन देश जानता है कि धमकाने में किसकी पीएचडी ज्यादा है तो केवल भारतीय जनता पार्टी की। सीबीआई देखिए आप किनके पीछे लग जाती है, इसमें आईटी लग जाती है। आप देखिए कैसे गंगाजल में आप लोग स्नान करा के पवित्र
2012 से 17 में आपका जो पीरियड था,
देश भूला नहीं है,
टाइम जो दंगे हुए थे, तो किस तरीके से एसपी डीएसपी को आपके जो नेता थे वो इंस्ट्रक्शन दे रहे थे, वो भी पीरियड हमने देखा है।
उनको दे दिया है, आप तो
जोशी जी,
वॉक ओवर दे दिया उनको।
जोशी कोशिश करें।
छोटा सा सवाल, क्या आप गेस्ट हाउस कांड भूल गए हैं? वो किसके समय में हुआ था, किसके साथ हुआ था? आप जब बहन मायावती जैसी इतनी सीनियर लीडर का आप सम्मान नहीं कर पाए, तो आप बाकी औरतों का, बाकी समाज में लोगों का
जवाब दे दीजिए, उसके बाद आगे बढ़ते हैं।
ओके, मायावती जी मतलब दलित आइकॉन आप कह लें।
समाजवादी नहीं भागते। आप सुनिए मेरी बात को, गेस्ट हाउस कांड पे किसने एफआईआर वापस लेने का काम करा? आदरणीय बहन जी ने ही लेने का काम करा। अगर उसमें कोई तथ्यात्मक होता
का जब
अरे कैसी बात
तालमेल हो गया,
कैसी बातें कर रहे हैं आप? आपके खिलाफ मैं कुछ करूंगा, मेरे खिलाफ आप करेंगे।
कौन ये नारा दिया था, कौन नारा दिया था कि जड गुंडन की छाती पे मुहर लगाओ हाथी पे?
संविधान पे बात कर रहे थे। आई थिंक सो वी आर अगेन गोइंग बैक टू स्पेसिफिक इंस्टेंसेस, एग्जैक्टली व्हाट द ऑपोजिशन हैज आल्सो डन, स्पेसिफिक इंस्टेंसेस दैट वी आर रियली लुकिंग एट। सेठी साहब, आपसे ये सवाल करना चाहूंगा कि आप कह रहे हैं कि एक तरह से अत्याचार हो रहा है फार्मर्स के ऊपर, आप कह रहे हैं कि कई ऐसे वर्ग के लोग हैं जिसके ऊपर अत्याचार हो रहा है। क्या आप ये नहीं मानते कि एक तरह से वही पार्टी, आज बीजेपी के ऊपर आप आरोप लगा रहे हैं, बट अलायंस में जितने लोग हैं, क्या उनके समय में ये नहीं हुआ? क्या उनके समय में कई सारे वर्गों के ऊपर अत्याचार, जो दलित समाज की बात करें, दलित समाज के ऊपर हुआ?
देखिए, आप 50 साल पुरानी बात करेंगे, अगर कांग्रेस ने कुछ गलतियां करी हैं तो देश की जनता ने उन्हें घर बैठा दिया। अब जो है वो जनरेशंस चेंज हो गई हैं, वो नई विचारधारा के साथ, नए मुद्दों के साथ आ रही हैं, और जो आज वही आदमी सरवाइव करेगा जो गरीब आदमी का, देश के अंतिम पंक्ति के व्यक्ति का सम्मान करेगा, उसके हितों की रक्षा करेगा। आप कह रहे हैं अमेंडमेंट की बात, मैं कहता हूं कि आप अमेंडमेंट कर सकता है, लेकिन ऐसा ना हो कि जो भी पार्टी सरकार के अंदर आए वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में अमेंडमेंट करना शुरू कर दे। आपकी तो ये प्राथमिकता कि हम रीराइट कर दें।
अब कुछ चीजें की अगर बात करें, स्पेसिफिक इश्यूज, लेट मी आल्सो गेट इनटू स्पेसिफिक।
एक सजेशन देना चाहता हूं, बोलिए। अगर कोई भी पार्टी सत्ता के अंदर आती है, अगर कुछ अमेंडमेंट करना चाहती है, तो देश का एक बुद्धिजीवी वर्ग है जिसके अंदर डॉक्टर्स आते हैं, प्रिंसिपल्स आते हैं, आईएएस अफसर आते हैं, जजेस आते हैं, उनकी एक पैनल 1000 लोगों का बनाए, उनकी वोटिंग कराएं स्पेसिफिक मुद्दों
के ऊपर। सर, हमने अपने एमपीज को वोट क्यों दिया है? अगर हमारे मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट्स को जब लॉ बनाने का अधिकार ही नहीं है,
हर किसी के अधिकार है, हर किसी, ये एक सही
अधिकार एमपीज को
आखिरकार पार्लियामेंटेरियंस को भी वो अधिकार है, और वो सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर भी है। उसके चेक्स एंड बैलेंसेस भी है, ऐसे नहीं है कि और भारतीय जनता पार्टी आज चाहे तो ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई चेक्स एंड बैलेंस नहीं है हमारे देश में, और यही खूबसूरती हमारी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन देती है। आई विल कम बैक टू स्पेसिफिक्स। मिस्टर बासु, कैन अलाउ मी टू
Keshavananda Bharati case. There was a direct attack on the constitution prior to that. A.N. Sen was appointed Chief Justice of India, superseding 3 judges who were voting against. So at that time, the entire constitution was put in danger. Right. Because the Supreme Court was subverted by Indira Gandhi. Okay. Let us not forget. Okay. So let's not talk about Keshavananda Bharati case as being something great, when the reason it resulted in that judgment was because there had been a subversion of the Supreme Court. Okay, now, and also the AAP spokesman has said that feeding 800 million people free food grain is unconstitutional. I would like to know on which grounds. If you have socialist in the preamble, is it unconstitutional?
I've never
now,
said
A and B. The second point.
I don't think so. That's what
may I
you
just
meant.
say? May I also say that the BJP government goes for welfare measures only when they are affordable. Have you looked at India's fiscal position? The fiscal situation has improved. The whole world is lauding the fact that unlike most of the world, India's fiscal deficit didn't go through the roof during the COVID crisis. During the COVID crisis, the year of the COVID crisis, the US fiscal deficit was nearly 16% of GDP.
Yeah.
India's reached actually only 7%, plus 2% was added in from the old Congress era, oil marketing bonds, which are also added in. But okay, let's say 9% of GDP fiscal deficit in the COVID year. And from that, it has come down. This year will be around 4.5% of GDP. Now, the point is that the fiscal deficit is improving, and yet 800 million people, 813 million people are getting free food grain. This is a wonderful thing to be celebrated. As a nation, we should celebrate this fact.
Because I want to touch upon
is
two quick
improving,
issues.
and 800 million people are getting free food.
Mr. Basu, there are two contentious issues that I want to talk about. One, with regards to certain amendments that we are likely to see in the years to come. The Waqf Amendment Bill. The second, as far as Places of Worship Act is concerned, there is a huge contentious debate that is going on. Hence, I want to ask this. Changing times, changing rules, changing amendments. And that is the reason why many have to understand, perhaps the opposition will also have to allow that space to accommodate certain changes. Anmol Pawar, would you not then agree that what is now being seen as the Waqf terror, shouldn't the parliament be allowed, taking into consultation of everyone, be allowed to bring in certain changes?
Mr. Sen, consultation is a word which is not in BJP's dictionary or the ruling government's dictionary.
But would
This is
you be
something they are
open to
very
the idea of
lenient to.
changes?
And I would
What is
respond to
JPC
Mr.
made for then?
Allow him to speak.
I would respond to what Mr. Basu said. See, we'll not go into figures, what is this fiscal deficit, what is this and what is all, for the fact that you have government in more than 20 states, sir, at present. Tell me a single state where you are providing the basic amenities of life to the people. A single state. And the fact is that, and the fact
Vinay, can I
every single one.
Ujjwala Yojana.
Which one, sir? Which one?
Can I?
toilets,
You've not.
toilet
Just hold on, gentlemen. Let's just get a clear answer. I wanted a clear answer, Mr. Pawar. I wanted
The same Mukhyamantri Awas Yojana,
I am looking.
which was riddled with corruption.
I'll give you that chance, but can I just get a clear answer? I was asking. Okay, I was asking a clear, hoping for a clear answer, Mr. Pawar. The reason why I'm once again putting this to you, will the Aam Aadmi Party be open to the idea that we need certain changes? Hence, if at all the Waqf Amendment Bill is actually introduced after the elaborate consultation that takes place on the JPC, will you be open to the idea of accepting certain changes?
See, a democracy thrives on discussion. And the place where we are sitting, we are just near to the Parliament House, where the ruling party itself is not allowing the Parliament to function. Our leader, see, you would agree, Mr. Sen, that at present in Delhi, the law and order is a very serious issue. We are seeing it, it is deteriorating day by day. In last 10 days itself, more than 8 murders have taken place. But our leader, Mr. Sanjay Singh, has given 3 notices for discussion on this particular issue, but the government is not ready to discuss it.
Vinay.
The government is not ready to discuss about their failure to prevent persecution of Hindus in Bangladesh. The government is not ready to discuss the Manipur issue. The government is not ready to discuss the indictment of Adani because they want to run away from this discussion.
Mr. Pawar.
That is why they are interrupting. They are not allowing deliberately.
Yes, Mr. Pawar. If you want to look today at the changes made or the amendments made by BJP, I think Bhimrao Ambedkar ji is more relevant. His idea 7 decades back, what a statesman, what a stalwart leader he was. Look at the idea of him about Jammu and Kashmir. He said actually what the Modi government did. that divide it into 3 parts and make it a union territory. What his idea was about on the Uniform Civil Code? He wanted a uniform law for the whole country, and that is what the Modi government is doing today. And what Congress did with Mr. Ambedkar at that time, that they were opposed to Ambedkar ji, and obviously Ambedkar ji was also very much opposed to Congress and to the communists, and they were opposed to Ambedkar then. They are opposed to Ambedkar today. They didn't find a small place in the whole parliament to put a picture of himself. They didn't find him suitable for the Bharat Ratna. So basically, someone Congress practice untouchability with Bhimrao Ambedkar ji.
Anmol as well as Professor Joshi, how do you really see this? Because this being at loggerheads with the government does not really help the nation. Hence, I'm asking you that don't you think you would do disservice if you're not really allowing today the constitution to thrive by giving it the necessary lease of life?
See, I think it is for the ruling BJP to consider that they are doing a great disservice to the nation. They don't believe in the constitution. They in fact do not even believe in the judiciary. As Mr. Basu was giving example of West Bengal. Mr. Basu, look at Delhi. The constitution bench, after hearing a matter, services matter, for 8 long years, a 5-judge constitution bench said that services would be a part of elected government. But despite that, what you did, you brought an ordinance and snatched the power of an elected government. The constitution bench said that the Chief Justice of India would be part of the committee which would select the election commissioner. What you did, you brought an ordinance and snatched the power. You removed the Chief Justice of India from that committee because you don't believe in judiciary, sir.
One last comment, Mr. Basu, let's end this. Okay, let's end this. As I asked this question to them also, but I'm hoping that many tonight would ponder upon the fact that there are few things that the country should have got by now, but they haven't. It's because of what we see, politics over it. I want to end by asking you this question. If given a choice, what is it that you would have liked to see in the changing times, that the constitution deserves to be changed? In which way?
Well, first of all, I don't think the BJP has even proposed a significant amendment to the constitution. So the BJP is not proposing. I'm not a spokesman for the BJP. Let's make this very clear. I'm just a supporter, a private citizen, supporter of the BJP. So they are not proposing constitutional changes. The one thing that they have proposed is a uniform civil code. A uniform civil code is a directive principle of state policy. It is required. Now, with regard to Waqf Act, this is transparently non-secular. If you want secularism, why should more than 1/3 of the property in this city, in the capital city of India, belong to Waqfs? You know, when in Bangladesh right now, when Hindus are thrown out of their, thrown out of Bangladesh,
then
the first thing that happens is that their property is taken over. It's considered enemy property. In India, when Muslims become Pakistanis, when they leave India and go to Pakistan, their property devolves to the Waqf. I mean, this is not
true. That's
I wish we could have continued, gentlemen. I wish I could have continued further.
Unconstitutional. If there's a Waqf Act for Muslims, there should be a similar act for Hindus, Buddhists.
That's exactly the reason why there was this entire chorus for Sanatan board also now. But having said that, I guess there are certain limitations. But I think all of us would certainly agree on one point, that when many nations have not been able to protect their constitution, and it has, as data suggests, within 17 years, that's the average span that most of the constitutions have had, Indian constitution becomes the second oldest constitution. And that's something that we all should perhaps cherish. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching this special edition of The Burning Question from outside the Parliament.